Welcome back to Foxy's Art Box. Today we'll do something a little different, making a posable fur baby. First we start with an outline for the basic animal to give us an idea for the skeletal, because we need an armature for the inside to hold everything together. Note how I have the lines for the legs and the spine and the head and the tail, of course. Here's the supplies we'll need: the armature, Sculpey clay, feet, cabochons for the eyes, usually made out of glass, and fur, of course. There'll be a couple of other things as time goes on. This is just the basic supplies on how to make a soft sculpture. So first we start with clear glass eye cabochons. The trick is to back paint these with acrylic paint so that they can't be rubbed off. Not to mention, there's one other fun effect, and that is that the eyes kind of follow you. Now take a look here. Here's what the backside looks like. And I do that with metallic paints as well as regular. Just normal acrylic, that's all it takes. A little bit of practice, but it does make for a neat effect. I'm using a wood ball for the inside to sculpt over for the face. So this will all go together. And this is Sculpey, which will actually bake in the oven, so polymer clays. So here is the sculpted head with the eyes embedded in it. And here's the armature. So this is the Jeton style. And everything just kind of clicks together into a ball and socket form. It makes for a very nice mobile piece. And here it is up against my outline to give an idea of how I was doing the joints. Gluing the paws on just to make sure that those stay nice and firm. I did pre-paint those with my airbrush just to make it a little easier. Same with the head, because I knew that I wanted to have that nice dark finish. But see how this all matches up against my real life model. And just to show how flexible and posable the skeleton and the ball and socket works really, really nice here. There's a wide range of motion. I used to use wire, but I really like this new form. Now to bulk out the statue, we're going to wrap it in quilt batting that's been cut into strips. This is a nice lightweight. We don't need anything real thick. One of the nice things about the thinner is that you can wrap it as many times as you want for thicker or thinner. More control. That's always a good thing. Wrap until you're content, and you've made like a little mummy animal. That is kind of what it looks like at this stage. Note that all of the joints are still very mobile despite the padding that is over them. Now, of course, we need the fur. So what I've done is kind of lined things up so that I've got slits for the ears and the paws to go through, or legs, technically. We stick the legs through as well as the ears. Just kind of, because of the flexibility, it's really easy to get them through. And we want this to fit fairly snugly after stitching. It just kind of helps to have it hug the the sculpture like a skin actually does without hanging real loose. And I've left enough to cover over the head. So we start at where the chin, or the head actually hits the body portion of it. And do a nice cross stitch where the needle is always coming from the back side through to the fur. This keeps the actual fur from getting pulled in through the fabric and creating loops. So it just kind of helps to have a better look. And as you can see, it's hard to see the seam. That's all the way down through the tail section, where I even switched to a new one. Now, of course, we need to get the head will eventually get figured out, but that's a later point. First, we have to put the legs on. And that will be a whole nother section of stitching. Once we've got those all stitched together, then it is time to shave down. Because of course, while I wanted a winter furred fox, I didn't want it quite that fluffy. I use a really, really long pile fur just because it's easier to shape down to it. And I did use some black sections on the legs just to make it a little bit easier to get the nice deep black. So once everything's shaped down, at least basically, we glue the sections to the head, making spaces for the eyes and the mouth. We'll come back through and do a little bit of kind of patch furring into those areas that the original fur didn't reach to. And I did glue the paws to the leg fur. This is after it's all been shaped down. So note how around the legs there's less fur. We have the cheek fur all framed in, along with down the front, nice and short on the face. Creates a cute little critter. And then after airbrushing, it all looks like a real fox. So I added some black around the legs and around the face, as well as using several different colors of orange and kind of a light brown to create the actual fox fur color. And this makes Autumn look absolutely adorable. It's also not uniform in the dye color, kind of like also the tail has that mottled look that it came with. This gives it a very, very neat looking coloration, which is more common with animals. And of course, look, everything is still nice and poseable. And she's completely fluffed out, just like a fox going into winter would be. But I just thought Autumn was a cute name. Isn't she adorable? Look at that face. Makes me just want to boop that snoot. Isn't she just stealing your heart? She was so much fun to make, and I can't wait to see where she ends up. I'm sure whoever ends up adopting her is going to totally and completely love her to bits. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Happy crafting!